Hi, I'm Alison Massey. I'm here today to talk to you about marketing. We're going to spend the next few modules talking about the different aspects of marketing. Today, we're going to be talking about the top 5 marketing misconceptions for startups, as well as a few other topics and one workshop session where we'll be able to talk face to face, which will be fantastic. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself before we kick off. Uh, I have been working in marketing for about 27 years. I relocated to Hong Kong about 11 years ago, specifically to set up a startup operation, which is an international health insurance business. Now, it's been a successful operation, I'm very pleased to say. It's running at about a 90 million US dollar annual turnover. It's running at about 30,000 customer base and operating across around about 200 territories globally. So all in all, not bad. Um, so as you know, better than anybody, startups can be a particularly harsh environment, but also it can be a particularly rewarding environment. And I was lucky enough about 6 or 7 years ago to hear Elon Musk come and talk at a Start Me Up event in Hong Kong. And he was interviewed by a really good journalist, and she asked him at the end of the interview what advice he would offer to anybody who was embarking on a startup. And he said, um, building a startup is like staring into the abyss while eating broken glass. Be prepared for extended periods of pain. And and while that's a pretty brutal thing to say, I must admit I felt really comforted by that because I thought, well, look, if Elon Musk feels that way, it's okay for me to feel that way too. So if anybody says that startups are easy, either they're not in a startup or they're lying, right? So look, it's not easy what you're doing, but it can be incredibly rewarding. So let's crack on. So, today we're going to be talking about the top 5 marketing misconceptions for startups. Um, Everything I'm going to talk to you about today and in the other modules is going to be specifically tailored to startups. We're going to talk about why these misconceptions could end up hurting you. And most importantly, we're going to identify ways of addressing them so that you don't fall into any of these traps. Before we jump in, let's just talk about what marketing is. First of all, let's just take a step back. Um, Classically, marketing is about creating a need and turning that need into a want, and then turning one want into many wants. So those many wants become demand. So that demand then becomes momentum. So, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking to create momentum for your proposition. There's a phenomenal uh, writer, professor, I would highly recommend you read. His name's Jim Collins. He has this phenomenal concept called the flywheel of momentum, which is where you have to push, push, push really, really hard in order to get momentum. And once you've got round the flywheel, at least once things start to speed up. He also has a book called Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. It's Jim Collins and Bill Lazier. If you read one book about entrepreneurship, I recommend you read that one. It is a game changer. Please look it up. So, if that's classic marketing, marketing has expanded massively in the last 20-25 years, and it's not just about demand generation anymore. It's also about brand and value proposition development and customer experience from one end all the way through to digital and development and digital marketing as well. So it means that Marketing encompasses and influences everything from the way you want your people to behave all the way through to the leads that land in your inbox. So I'm going to run through these really quickly. And then we'll dive into them in detail, okay? So I'm not going to talk about them in any detail now. We're just going to go through each five. All right. So number one, marketing is the thing that you do after everything is built to get new business. I can't do any marketing. I don't have any money. I know everything about my customers. Good marketing delivers immediate results. I have a great proposition. I don't need to do any marketing. All right, let's go through them one by one. Okay, marketing is the thing you do after everything is built to get new business. Okay, so let's just break this down. If you wait until your business is built and then you decide to get your marketing plan together, it means you're going to have to reverse engineer your target audiences, your competitor analysis, your positioning maps, brand promises, value proposition into things you've already set in stone, right? Not great. And the reason why it's not great is it's going to add valuable time, which you probably don't have. It might add additional cost, but more importantly than anything else, you might have missed something really important because you've not, kind of built it into your proposition. Because the whole point about building out your brand and value proposition is that it's an iterative process, it's a creative process, and it's something that you do. It's a discovery, right? Your brand and value proposition are core to the success of your business, right? It's something that you need to weave in from day one. And the work that you do now early on, it pays off, right? And the reason it pays off is when it comes time to launch, it means those USPs, those unique selling points, they're going to be coming out of your ears, right? They're just going to be, tripping off your tongue. It's all going to be benefit, 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 right? And while you're not thinking about this now, likely, the IP that your brand is going to generate can often add to the multiple when it comes time to exit, okay? Right, so you're probably not thinking about that now, but trust me, brand can often equal multiple, okay? So how you don't fall into any of these traps is start early, and that's why I'm here, okay? So the first thing we do is put a brand and value proposition framework together. So good news, there's another video on that. So once you're done here, watch the next video and you'll be good, and do the work, you'll be good, right? The next thing is put your marketing strategy together. Even better news is there's a workshop on that, okay? So you're not on your own. I'll be here to help you. I'll guide you through this when we do the workshop. You'll be golden. It'll be good. Okay. So those are the three things. Start early, brand and value proposition, marketing plan. Okay. Number two, I can't do any marketing. I don't have any money. All right. A lot of people think that marketing equals needing to have a really big budget, and it's just not true. Okay. So remember what I said earlier, the business that I mentioned was turning over $90 million a year. And that's a lot, right? The marketing budget that I had for that $90 million budget for the last financial year was 637,000 US dollars, which is teeny tiny for a business of that size, okay? You don't have to have pots of cash to do really effective marketing. In fact, the best marketeers that you'll come across are those ones who can do a lot with not a lot, okay? You just have to be smart, right? Everything that you do, just you have to work your marketing dollar really hard, okay? So I'll come on to this a bit later, but if it's expensive, just be wary, right? Just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good, okay? So, how you don't fall into these traps is you just need to think laterally about how you can generate noise about your offer, okay? So, what's your point of difference? Think about things like who is your founder? Who is that person? Are they interesting? What is their reputation? What problem are you solving? Where can you generate reputation independently, right? Where can you create depth to your proposition? Things like, can you go for independent awards? Where can you get accreditation? Where can you, it's about generating reputation quickly, right? You can use content, social media, review sites, subscriber bases. You can use electronic direct mail, PR, launch events, advertorial, webinars, podcasts, videos. All of these things you can do in a really cheap and cost-effective way to gain critical mass. Okay, so you don't have to have pots of cash to do marketing. Trust me, I know. Okay, next one. I know everything about my customers slash target audience. Okay, right. It's always dangerous to say that you know everything about anything anyway, but it's not possible for you to know everything about your customers or your target audience. And I mean, at the moment, like you might either be in a position where you're not launched yet and you are looking at who your potential customers might be. So I think it's really important. You might think you will have a target audience, right? You know that there's a market for your proposition, but it's always really wise to think about secondary and tertiary markets for your proposition, because you might find when you get to market that who you thought was going to buy your proposition actually don't, you mean in a live environment, it might just not work out the way you thought it was going to work out. And it's really important to be able to pivot really fast. So it's really wise to make sure that you've got the secondary and the tertiary markets and you know who they are, right? That's critically important. And also, you might uncover some gems as well. You just never know. And then for those people who are already trading, whilst you don't know everything about your customers, nobody knows everything about their customers. What I would recommend, if you haven't done so already, is know as much as you can about your customers, because data is absolutely everything. Put yourself in a position where you can gather as much information as you can in a compliant way and put it all in a single place where you are in a position to be able to analyze that data set. There are amazing tools out there now that will allow you to be able to analyze your customer data and give you access to data sets and analysis tools that are just mind blowing. So don't underestimate the power of your own customer data. Okay, that is critically important. And it doesn't, again, mean lots and lots of cash. Investing in a really, simple CRM is really important, but it's so important for it all to be in the same place. Really, really important. Okay, next one. Good marketing delivers instant results. Well, unfortunately not. Um, Good marketing campaigns are a sum of their parts, and they usually contain several elements that will pay off over time, right? So you have to think about a marketing campaign as a garden, right, that has flowers that bloom at different and certain times of the year. Look, you would be really disappointed if you'd put a lot of work in and then you just had a garden that bloomed, 1 week of the year. That would be terrible, right? So the way to do this is to plan your campaigns so that you're delivering content to your target audiences at different times of the year. So when I do one of the other modules, I'm going to talk to you about the structure of campaigns. So you're looking at foundational content planning of hygiene, hub, and hero campaigns. So I'll give you all of this information to make sure that you've always got a baseline of pull communications that your target audiences can get from you, they can pull from you whenever they want, and that you also have different types of push marketing that you're pushing out to your target audiences when they want to receive them, and also when you want to push your hero campaigns. Okay, so that you need to plan in. Again, you also need to be smart about where you spend your money. As again, I said earlier, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's going to work. Really simple but important things to note: every communication that you do must have a call to action. When a communication has a call to action, it means that you can track what is happening. So, for instance, the harder that your prospects are working, it means the hotter the lead is, right? It also means that when you're tracking everything, you also know which element of your campaigns has worked, okay? So it's critically important that calls to action and tracking is put in place, because number one, you know where your leads are coming from, and number two, you know how hot your leads are. Seems obvious, right? But really, really important. And number five, and this is without a doubt the most important one, is I have a great proposition. I don't need to do any marketing. Um, Once you get to the point where you're ready to launch, you're going to be probably exhausted. And I remember this really vividly. It was about 10 years ago. I remember thinking I'm exhausted, and I was sure, I was sure that everybody would just know that I was there and it would be brilliant and everybody would just buy my proposition and everything would be all right. And of course, that's just a nonsense. Nobody knows you're there, and you're just going to be the world's best kept secret. And don't be that, okay? That's just a waste. Any of you who are old enough, there's a movie called Field of Dreams. It's a Kevin Costner movie, and it's like the premise of the movie is build it and they will come. Guess what? They won't. So yeah, don't be that. And the thing about it is that when you've built your business and it's ready to launch, this is the point at which the hard work's going to happen, right? You need to kind of steady yourself. You're launching, you need to be ready. So the ways in which not to fall into this trap is to make sure that you've planned ahead, right? As part of your marketing plan, make sure you've got your launch plan ready as part of that plan, right? As part of that plan, you need to have worked out how to make as much noise as possible based on the budget that you have available. And then finally, do everything that you can to generate as much noise and as much momentum as possible to get your message out there. So that's everything that I've got for you in this session. I hope you have found it informative. I look forward to talking to you in the next session, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.